imagine the future the way you'd like to see it.
I don't think there's almost any boundary anymore of people saying the question. Imagine this.
If you can imagine it, then it can be.
Go to the problem and imagine a world where that problem has been removed, and then say, well, how many steps are there from this world to that world?
Imagining a new future, a new path, a new direction.
If you have the power to imagine it, you have the power to change the world.
Imagine a more perfect world than the one we live in, and then to actually engage in making that happen.
Sorry to interrupt. Hi, my name's Eliza. I just wanted to say that I believe, and I think you'll agree, that there's never been a time in history when the creative spirit wasn't really important. Especially now. Am I alone on this one? In fact, we need a whole new generation of innovators. What better way to do that than by promoting creative thinking? But how do we do that? An experiment? Competition? Forcing everyone to take arts and crafts? How about a challenge?
We wanted to create an opportunity for people not just to talk about entrepreneurship, but to actually do something. And to create a challenge for them that was going to be really stimulating and provocative and was going to get everybody's creative juices flowing.
Picture this. It's February 2007. It's Entrepreneurship Week. And Stanford has invited universities from all over the world to an innovation challenge. Thousands of students, hundreds of universities, a dozen countries, they took the idea and went global.
One of the things that's exciting about the challenge is that we're giving people an everyday object and told them to create value.
Value. Did you know that there are 18 definitions of that word in the dictionary, and they all apply to the challenge?
And of course, you could do it by how much money you make, but you can do it the amount of social value you create, the amount of entertainment value, how creative you are. We have all sorts of unlimited categories.
Unlimited! Like an all-you-can-eat creativity buffet. That analogy doesn't work. But you know what is limited for the challenge? Time. 6 days to be exact.
Your challenge must be completed by Thursday morning at 10 o'clock.
Here comes the good part. The content of this film.
Each team will give a 3-minute pitch. You can either show a 3-minute video or have 3 slides, but you have 3 minutes.
So, what about this everyday object? What do you think it is? Any ideas?
Are you ready? The Post-it.
We wanted to come up with some object that, first of all, was ubiquitous. It was something that everybody had access to.
At first, it was a bit of a shock because they said it would be ordinary, but it was really ordinary.
It was something that in some way was symbolic of creativity.
I think it's a real challenge because, I mean, what could you do possibly with a Post-it?
And symbolic of coming up with ideas.
The thought itself was so innovative that we really came up with some very, very crazy ideas at that moment.
Post-its were perfect.
I think it's great that we're using Post-it notes to do this because, of course, Post-it notes are an invention that came from somebody thinking outside the box with what he could do with something.
Post-it? Are you kidding me?
Well, I love the idea that it starts off as ubiquitous. It starts off as mundane and ultimately becomes special because of what you do with it.
A normal person would think you can't really create anything. So that's why we have to think differently.
It engages all of the things we want our students to know. Teamwork, collaboration, communication, imagination. It's all of it wrapped up into one.
I think it's very interesting to be take part in this activity.
It's sort of a good preparation for later life, which is, you never have infinite resources. And you're given this constraint, and in this constraint, it's Post-it pads. When you're out in the real world, you will also have constraints. You'll not have infinite capital. You won't have infinite employees. You won't have infinite time. Life is like a Post-it pad.
Now, adding value to a normal day product is very difficult, and I think that makes the whole challenge very special.
It taps into, in some ways, the rawest level of their creativity, because what you're giving them is apparently nothing. And so you're really asking them to create value from virtually nothing. That's sort of the essence of entrepreneurship.
If you give students a chance to think creatively, they certainly come up with some really wonderful ideas. And this is an opportunity to test that creativity and to see it in practice.
Okay, thousands of kids, 6 days, creating value from Post-its. What? Where would you even begin? How did they get started? What would you do?
It's hard to look inside to get started. I think that's where people get stuck. I think it's often best to find something to rub up against. A person, an idea, a cause.
The hardest part is defining a narrow enough universe to work on. Like, what is the problem you're going to work on? Because if you just have a blank piece of paper and could do anything, that's, I think, the hardest moment for someone who's really creative.
I used to work for George Lucas, and George Lucas, one thing I always remember is sitting down with him one day, and the metaphor he gave me was, it's very, very difficult to put the first brush stroke on a white canvas. But throw some dots up there. And then when you look at the canvas, it's very easy to put that first stroke on. And so the idea is find something to oppose, find something to merge with, find something to dance with, and in the process, you have creativity.
So basically what we did was we identified a problem, which was that a lot of students are hungry and they don't have cars. So we held one night where we had about 200 students come and we sold them burgers. And in return, they, like all of our proceeds went to an organization called Kiva, which is a microfinance lending organization for entrepreneurs in developing countries.
We used the Post-its as part of the ordering process. We had a station where people were taking money and a station where we were actually giving the burgers out. So people paid, got a Post-it, exchanged the Post-it for their food, and it actually really contributed to the station where we were actually giving the burgers out.
I'm just gonna take a slow bite.
All right, ready?
We learned that with the right marketing, you could do pretty much anything. The night before, put together all the ordering process.
$4.99.
And turned out to be a pretty good success. We had a lot of fun. Everyone else, I think, had a lot of fun.
So the project was about creating value, and one of our values was caloric value. And we did cross the 6-digit number, 100,000 calories. 600 calories per burger, 200 burgers, fries, 400 calories per fries. It's not healthy, but it's value.
That's true.
Creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship. Can this sort of thing be taught?
Can you teach sports? Can you teach music? Can you teach math? Can you teach history? Yes, of course there are some people who are natural-born musicians, and they're natural athletes, but everybody can improve, and everyone can benefit by knowing more about it.
I don't know if you could teach it, but you have to be exposed to it. You have to feel what it's like, so that later on you'll be able to say, I know what's going on here, I recognize this.
One of our ideas that we're looking at, for instance, is going in and reaching out to some elementary school kids. And I think we might be surprised by the kind of ideas they might come up with.
What we decided to do was to move outside of our own realm of entrepreneurship and kind of pass on the message of the spirit of the week to a group of elementary schoolers.
How many people know what entrepreneurship is? Have you ever heard that word? This was like a really empowering exercise for them. I don't think I actually understood the potential of it till I got there. Who wants to share an idea that they wrote down? Do you want to share an idea?
A bracelet that can beep on a remote to tell your parent.
What's your idea?
Something that stops fights and wars. Can you tell me a little bit about the dog taker? It feeds your dog, it pets your dog, and it cleans the poop off for your dog. If you make a machine that does all your chores.
You ask these kids if they have an idea for an invention, and there's no hesitation.
And they're like, oh, yes. Well, I made a force field generator. It should be small, like maybe the size of the regular backpack.
Oh. I thought it was exciting how much energy they brought to it, and they're like, are you guys gonna come back and do this some more?
There was this one kid, Skylar, who was outside, and we were trying to desperately to recruit these kids, and we were worried that we weren't getting enough. Eventually we got a bunch of kids, but he was just kind of standing there hugging a pole, and I'm like, well, why don't you come in? We'll do some stuff. You can make an invention. He's like, oh, I don't want to. I was like, oh, come on, there's candy. And he's like, okay, but I only want to watch. And then he starts, we start walking over, and he starts talking to me, and he's like, I'm a real detective. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, maybe you can invent something that you can use as a detective. And then in the end, he came up with night vision goggles. And it was just like such a pleasure to see him like be so proud of that.
The best thing you can do for a very young child is to stimulate their imagination. I don't think it's a coincidence that most of the smart people that I knew grew up reading, science fiction novels and really exercising their imagination. So if you can, create activities for students where they're asked to really either collectively or individually start posting their ideas and sharing their ideas, that's the best way to learn about what it's like, to create an idea that can potentially become a company and become a growing enterprise.
Elementary entrepreneur back to basics.
That's so good.
That's so cute. I'll design a little drawing.
Promote creative thinking. We should all do that. In Thailand, Ed Rubish, he knows.
To promote creative thinking is to do something different. And I think in the context that I'm used to working, which is in entrepreneurship, it usually means in the context of not having resources.
เป็นสื่อระหว่างคนสองคนกลุ่มสองกลุ่มใน society ก็ได้ว่าเป็นการ create the link ให้ listen กันมากขึ้นแต่ว่า
It doesn't have to be just a simple business transaction. In a country like Thailand and our neighboring countries like India and developing countries, I see an incredible amount of creativity in people just getting by in their normal lives.
อยากให้เขาแบบมีสื่ออะไรออกมาจากคนกลุ่มหนึ่งให้สังคมรับรู้เนี่ยเป็น value ที่เราอยากได้
I think the goals of the students was to bring that awareness straight up in front of us, and that's what they did.
We created a value added for single posted papers by asking for sponsorship from 3M company.
As a first step to go straight to the 3M office in Thailand and say, we need more Post-its, I thought that's a great innovative step.
The objective of this mission was to stimulate awareness to the society, to pay more attention to disabled people.
First of all, I think the students did a great job identifying what they thought was an important issue.
The first value created was the happiness. The responses were more than what we had expected. Disabilities are not at all an obstacle.
They also did an incredible job telling the story. I think the fact that they sat down and kind of thought through exactly what they wanted their video to say was absolutely amazing.
Empathy and help are not always what they want. They just want the equal opportunities as normal people, and they want their voices to be heard.
Their execution was as amazing as their dream of what they wanted to accomplish.
In the process of collecting responses, we encountered a problem of limited manpower. Therefore, we presented the project to our friends and got them to work with us.
They were showing the power of communication and the impact they can have just by taking some very simple tools and directing them in the right way.
We went to Tha Prajan, Siam Square, and Khao San Road, and we got such a great support from the public.
I think that's what innovation is all about. It's not having endless resources, it's the amount of impact you can have from a very small amount of scarce resources.
The reaction from the public was magnificent. Through this project, the friendship was created. Some of the people who wrote the messages on Wednesday returned as a volunteer on the next day. Thairat newspaper reporter also came to the site and published our attempt nationwide. The tourists from around the world also contribute to this mission by writing the message on Post-it. Even the messages were different in terms of form, contents, and languages, but what we felt in common was the word love and care. From just a pack of Post-it, we got 2,500 messages, 7,640 baht. But beyond those measurable value, we are also able to create awareness, friendship, and most of all, happiness to the society.
Okay, here's a fact for you. Did you know that only 2 to 3% of the world's population are change makers? Imagine what could happen if everyone was a change maker.
I sometimes say it's a new kind of student activism, an activism, not the kind that I grew up with in the Vietnam War era, but an activism about making the world better.
Through your creative ideas and innovations, you can help society. So it's not just for personal gain or just for commercial use.
This is an amazing generation, and at least the opportunity is there for them to be amazing.
As man evolves, the social curtain also keeps on changing. So you cannot use the day-to-day process or the day-to-day procedure which you otherwise had. You cannot apply the same thing. So as time changes, as the social curtain changes, you need to be innovative and creative with the times.
I honestly think the most important thing that's motivating them is wanting to feel like there's a reason that they were here, wanting to feel like they're making a difference in the world.
I'm always trying to urge our students to be thinking bigger, world-changing solutions to the world's problems.
So this is like our process, poster idea. As a lot of you know that during September 2006, there was a coup in Thailand. So, well, they need to draft a new constitution, and this is the process of doing it. There are like many ideas in Thailand, but not really from the people.
Thammasat University is known for its social activism.
Mostly like the press was just like exaggerating about what the CDC or the committee of drafting the constitution thinks. And there was a lot of like conflicts about that, but there wasn't like really any source of comments that came from the public.
My students said to me, they said, well, we didn't feel like people were taking this seriously enough. We felt like, yeah, this coup had occurred, but generally people weren't feeling the importance of the coup, so we wanted to go out and find out why.
We decided that we would make these post-its and let people around Thammasat University and nearby areas to tell what they think about it. What do they want with the new constitution?
I think they were just instinctively beginning to see a problem.
They say that Thai people don't really think, but we want to encourage them to think. And why are you thinking? You should be able to express it.
Well, the problem has shown itself in all the worst ways when the election occurred. It just occurred in August, and it was forced very, very quickly, and most people feel like the people didn't make a decision.
We went to the rector's office, and then he gave us this board at the Thammasat gate, which is one of the most significant gates in Thammasat University.
We have some faculty members who've been around through, and are still very outspoken, and been around through a lot of the changes that Thailand has been trying to go through over 20 or 30 years, and a lot of those people came out and said, you're doing a good thing, keep doing it.
It's the best location in the university, and this is how we got our board done. We set it up around noon, and at the end of the day, it was like this.
One of the constraints of the challenge is time, or lack thereof. You know what that means. Pressure.
One of the things I always like to focus on is how people respond to pressure when they're trying to be creative. And oftentimes people think that pressure is something that's bad, but pressure in a very short period of time can be very stimulating. Think about Apollo 13, when people under very, very dire circumstances and have very limited resources come together and come up with very creative solutions to very difficult problems.
Given the compression of the deadlines here, they will learn how to make decisions in real time and not having all the information at their fingertips.
There's such an emphasis on rapid prototyping, using very quick and dirty techniques.
The one thing which I've already started learning from this process is the benefit of rapid prototyping and just venting out the negative criticism. You know, in the initial stages, it's very good to get all the ideas out from people, and then you start filtering as to what is good, what does not, what is aligned with the main objective that you're trying to achieve.
you don't spend a lot of time trying to think through what's the perfect solution.
Once you go out, taking the prototype out there, you go out and meet the customers, people who are actually going to use the Post-it.
There's incredible richness in being willing to do that, to just put things out there, let people see them, touch them, and let them become part of your creative process.
You get inspired by the things they do. Like for me, it's when I first started going out with a pad of Post-its, saying, talking to my friends and say, if you had one thing to say to the world, what would it be? And they started writing on there. And as it went on, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I want to see what the next person has to say about this.
Recognizing that messiness is part of innovation, I think is an important learning that they'll almost definitely get out of this experiment.
The What's Your Post-it campaign is about creating an online community of people expressing themselves through Post-it. So we asked the following question: if you could write one Post-it to yourself, to somebody else, or to the world, what would it say? We invited people to submit a picture of their Post-it to our blog or Facebook group and to share it with everyone else. And starting this out, we launched a guerrilla-style marketing campaign using our original 100 Post-its to advertise the site throughout the campus. And we got others involved in the cause and received donated Post-its, which we then used to collect more entries from people on campus. And online, we invited over 2,000 people throughout the country to join the community. And the great thing about it is that each Post-it has a story behind it.
My name is Christina, and my Post-it says, join the fight against MS. I am attempting to study immunology. Immunology is obviously the study of your immune system, and one of the things that got me interested in immunology is actually my dad having MS. My dad has primary progressive MS. He has a very bad case. He doesn't remember dates or names or anything that happened during the day. He doesn't remember if he's had his pills in the morning or not. I have about a 5% chance of getting MS. Definitely do something for people with MS. Thank you.
I love it. This is how we're going to end it.
Save the environment. Quit wasting Post-it notes.
Post-its, internet. I think we got something here.
The notion of the internet and connectivity, and the idea that people on all continents, in all walks of life, have an opportunity to tap into the same source of knowledge and information, to share ideas. I don't think we've begun to even see the tip of the iceberg of what that will create over the next couple of generations.
The Post-it Pals team was our largest team. There are about 10 students on that team, again, very diverse. They said, we've got this crazy idea. We're going to create a character. The thing that was really inspiring was that they were inspired by a passion to do something that was really socially beneficial, something purposive, talking about not only creating a network, but raising funds for charity and at the same time having an incredible amount of fun. To create a character, to actually personify the Post-it note was, I thought, an inspired step that they took. Of course, and it ended up being an extremely cute, attractive, and people could immediately identify with this character. And then when they created the MySpace for the Peter Post-it character, they then used that MySpace to create a network, to raise funds for charity. And then they created a physical version of the character, which they then took and introduced to people, saying, would you like to meet Peter Post-it? And I thought it was a really inspired use of the Post-it notes.
I think the fundamental changing force of our lifetime, and certainly I think that this might be of every demographic listening to this film, is the internet.
You know the idea of 6 degrees of separation, right? With the internet, there's the potential for 0 degrees of separation.
It's as if the Earth is wiring itself a new nervous system.
There's the power for every single individual just about on the world to communicate with every single other individual.
We were a highly competitive culture, and now we're becoming more of a collaborative culture, and I have a lot of optimism around that collaboration.
We're here today to present what we're calling the collaborative music composition concept. This is what we did with our Post-it notes. So what we did is we turned 100 Post-it notes into 25 factorial different songs. 25 factorial is that red number right there. And I really don't know how to pronounce it, but maybe Ding Ting can help us out.
George, I believe that's 1.55 million billion combinations.
So, and I'm going to tell you exactly how we did that. It sounds a little bit unbelievable, but it was done. And the way we did is we approached 25 Stanford students with Post-it notes, and we told them each to write one measure of music on each Post-it. Then what we did is we collected those Post-it notes, and we entered them into some computer software and kind of randomly mixed the measures together to create the songs. And now we didn't have time to try all the different combinations, but we did do one or two, and I wanted to actually play one of those for you next. Just keep in mind, randomly put together for the most part, and it's about a minute long. That's it. Ding Ting's gonna explain a little bit more about the value we created through this project.
Thanks, George. So what did we use? We used 25 Stanford students, 60 minutes of creative energy, and 100 Post-it notes. What did we create? We created a scalable concept to collaboratively create music. We have been able to form an open source way for anybody to make compositions, from novices to music majors, from artists to double-E's engineers like me. Right? Everybody can create music now. Everybody can share, everybody can collaborate, and we can connect people from across the world, from countries everywhere, online, or even on paper, to create music. We can build communities, bring people together. As the saying goes, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Bravo. Post-its for my ears. Now, here's a thought. Post-its for your funny bone.
We have been assigned a particular product that has been allotted to us, that it is a stick pad. Do you know what is a stick pad?
It will show them in a very simple, fun environment that it is possible for them to take something as simple as a Post-it note and an idea.
So basically, what we'll have to do, we'll have to impart some additional values to it.
And come up with something that is engaging.
I am thinking that we can take part in the category of the entertainment category.
Has possibilities beyond a pen and piece of paper.
I think it is a good idea. So we don't have much time.
And that they could see themselves actually doing.
Scene 1, dressing room, 9 a.m.
Oh God, 9 a.m. I'm being late for my office. Oh shit, I'm late first. Okay. Yeah, hello? Yeah, sure. 1 o'clock, Green Park. Yeah, sure. Bye. Okay, fine. I'm a bit busy. Bye.
10 a.m. on the road, scene 2.
Hi, sweetheart. Yeah, okay, listen, the bus is coming. Yeah, please, okay, yeah. I'll meet you at 1 p.m. Okay, sure, bye.
Scene 3, in the office, 12 o'clock.
Okay, Bonnie. Okay. Yeah, hi, Bonnie. Yeah, okay. 1 o'clock, sure, Green Park. Yeah, listen, I'm a bit busy. I'll call you later on, okay? Bye, yeah, sure.
Scene 4, Green Park, 1:15.
Always late. He's always late.
Hi, sweetheart. Sorry, I'm late, sweetheart.
See, you don't love me.
Sweetheart, I can die for you. Look into my eyes, look into my heart, sweetheart.
And what about me? And what about me, huh?
God. My God. I don't know, yeah. I'm highly frustrated, man. Give me a...
Abhishek, what happened to you?
Amit, yeah, I'm really pissed off, man. 3 girlfriends, they went off today, yeah. It's really a bad day for me.
That's why I tell you to manage girlfriend, use Post-it as your friend.
Why did you tell me this earlier?
Do you know where brainstorms come from? I don't either. But what I do know is when you're dreaming up ideas and people tell you you're crazy, you have nothing to worry about because it usually means you're on the right path.
One of the most important things is not to be limited by what seems reasonable.
Whatever comes to your mind, whatever great ideas are, put it across.
The more outrageous it sounds, the more you should kind of think through and ask, is there a kernel there that's really interesting?
I think that you need to devote a lot of time to the beginning phase to sort of just come up with a lot of ideas and then test the feasibility of those ideas by just sitting around a table and making sure you talk through everything. And I think that worked really well for us.
We're Team Magic, and what we decided to do is create a public awareness ad for energy conservation. And there's really two main messages that we're trying to send to our viewers. The first message is that we'd like college students to be aware of the ecological footprint that they're making. And secondly, we want people to try to make an individual difference by unplugging unused appliances.
So what happens when you get a great idea? You do something with it. Or you just write it on a Post-it.
An idea is important, but getting that idea translated into something practical is equally important.
We thought about where could value come from Post-its, and it's actually not from the Post-its itself, of course. It would be a medium to carry the value. We looked around here at Stanford and thought, where is there most value here at Stanford? And we realized it's in the people.
We hope to create value by using the Post-it note as a means to create an inspiring piece of art, and through this art, to contribute towards solving the problem of hunger worldwide.
I like that. We're fairly comfortable that this is a good idea.
The inventing part of innovation, you know, it's a brainstorming time. It's very free. But when you go to deploy, you have to decide what not to do and what to do.
Cool. The next item is for us to now map out our strategy. Yeah.
You're taking risks. You're doing things. You're going, wow. This is a lot harder than I thought.
So we're in the execution stage right now, knowing that we don't have much time. We decided to just do some classic cold calling. Excuse me, Dr. Shin?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Christopher Han. I'm a PhD student here.
Come in.
Thank you.
We try many different approaches, and we figure out a way that seems to work.
I'm trying to create value, and we'd like your help with this.
Okay, tell me more about it.
Sure.
We find the most effective way is us going in as a team, and which makes it more convincing that this is a project that a lot of people are committed to.
The way it works is we've asked exceptional minds from various disciplines.
Having already notes from other prestigious people, the one we're approaching are more inclined to follow suit and give their words of wisdom to us.
For example, we have here from physics, Robert Laughlin, Nobel laureate, and Roger Kornberg, also Nobel laureate in chemistry.
And then just being able to go to them and interact with these famous people, that's quite an experience.
What we'd like to ask you to do is simply to share with us any tidbit of wisdom, any words of advice, or you can even doodle on this Post-it note, sign it, and what we would like to do is use that and create two identical frames, one of which we're going to donate to a charitable organization, and the other one we're going to donate to the Stanford Museum.
Before this, I wouldn't have thought about going to their offices. I'll leave it for you in a will call box in the history office. Great, thank you very much. Right. Thank you very much. Good to meet you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think every successful entrepreneur would say, look, I've had a heavy dose of the ability to influence, persuade, in other words, close a sale.
Two heads are better than one. 5 or 6 are even better. That's why teamwork is part of the challenge.
So the first thing students have to learn is teamwork.
Hi everyone, my name is Christian. We basically wanted to have a very diverse team, very different, work with different people that had different working styles.
My name is Desiree.
But teamwork, of course, means other skills as well. They need to know communication skills.
We actually didn't know each other, we just met today, so it's kind of exciting.
I'm Candace.
They need to know how to get along with one another.
We come from many different types of academic disciplines, and so we want to know what types of things, what types of experiences that you've had that you can contribute to our team.
David?
They need to be able to prioritize and to set goals and to meet those goals.
it will be a challenge for us to work together to see if we can achieve success together as a very diverse group.
I'm Jenny, and we're Group Idealicious.
The wonderful opportunity that students have is that they are automatically and naturally in an environment where there's a lot of diversity, there's a lot of different cultures and a lot of different disciplines, and they'll get to experience what that means to form teams and create new solutions to ideas in that diverse community environment.
If everybody could please stand up, we're going to ask you to pledge to stick it to heart disease for us.
I hereby pledge to stick it to heart disease by limiting my risks of heart attack through heart-healthy lifestyle modifications. Learning about the early signs of heart disease. Assessing my risk of heart disease with a medical practitioner. Encouraging my friends and family to be conscious of heart health. To be healthy and thrive.
To be healthy and thrive.
All right, now stay in that position. I'll take a picture.
Entrepreneurs. Do they have a look? Do they act a certain way? What does it take?
Entrepreneurship is an extreme sport. You gotta get out and do it.
High energy. You've got to be willing to dive in and do things that are often above and beyond what would normally be expected to make things happen.
Most of the truly innovative creative thinkers are intuitive people. And at some point in their process, they get this gut feeling that this one is the one that makes sense.
The attributes we look for in young entrepreneurs and all entrepreneurs are fundamentally the same, which is a passion and a drive to make a difference. They must really care about what they're doing. They're not arbitrage seeking opportunists. They really care about what they're doing. They have, most importantly, an infectious enthusiasm.
They were really excited because they loved their idea. When you live in a culture where traffic is so problematic and drivers and motorists do not respect each other or pedestrians, you sometimes don't pay attention to these problems, and they are really important problems because they become part of your culture somehow. The students told me later that at the beginning they were a little bit afraid of approaching motorists and start, posting these messages on their windshields. And but as soon as they started to do it, they got courage and they realized it wasn't that bad. The most common reaction was trying to justify why they were doing something wrong. And they say, I'm here just because the car that was in front of me stopped suddenly. I had to stop here. They were really excited. They were so happy of the result. The amazing thing to me is that some of the motorists just, back up from when the kids went to them and started to ask them, why are you doing this? And they put that Post-it on their windshield. That shows you the power of youth in action. To me, it showed that we can solve this kind of problems because the problem is that nobody's getting the attention to people to try to correct their behavior. And these young people with a camera was powerful enough to make them, back up. And it's a great lesson that we could teach to other people, to the ones who rule the societies.
No pain, no gain. No guts, no glory. Try again, never say die. The point is, risk, failure, all a part of the process.
If you don't take risks and take the chance of coming up with a result that is not what you expect, which is the way I define failure. If you don't take risks around that sort of result, you can never grow. You can never create.
Tolerance for failure is one of the most important predictors of entrepreneurial success. When you go to countries where failure is not accepted as a part of the process, then people are unwilling to even try. And so making that into the system, making people comfortable with the idea that they might not be successful the first time is really, really important.
If you can't appreciate the need to fail, then you're going to be afraid. And if you're afraid, fear kind of freezes you up, right? It's sort of the enemy of the creative process.
Evolution is a series of natural selection against trials. And by the way, most of them fail.
Failure is the magic sauce in entrepreneurship. It's the magic sauce in innovation. Whether you're Thomas Edison trying to invent the future, you have 1,000 patents to your name, over 1,000 patents, but it's really only 1 or 2 that matter. In the venture business, we look at thousands of business plans every month, and the majority of them will fail, the majority will go out of business, but it's the few that succeed that really change the world. And you have to be prepared for that as an entrepreneur, that on average, you're going to fail.
All business is a process of continuous failure. That's just the way it is. And the people who succeed are the ones who handle failure better than others, right? I shouldn't say failure, it's continuous crisis. You know, there's crisis after crisis after crisis. That's what business is.
Failure is the result, I think, mostly of how ambitious it is, the thing that you're trying. And if you fail at little things, then, you know, maybe you're mediocre. But if you fail at spectacular things, I think that's okay.
To start off our presentation, we have a quote for you. The poor themselves can create a poverty-free world. All we have to do is free them from the chains we have put around them. This is a quote from Dr. Muhammad Yunus, the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize winner and the father of microlending. His life's work is the inspiration behind Gumball Capital.
I think entrepreneurship is that sense of changing the world person by person. It's the application of human potential.
Microlending is the practice of loaning small amounts of money to people in developing countries that they can then use to start businesses for education or healthcare.
Think about entrepreneurship outside the United States, and it's very interesting because it's the equivalent of democracy in a lot of the world.
So what we did was we took our Post-it notes and we turned them into pledges. We printed simple forms on each one, and then just in a period of 2 days got a group of over 20 students together to go around campus and educate people about microlending.
It's the equivalent of giving people a say, empowering the individual, empowering the community.
They were then able to actually pledge money to Kiva through us on these actual Post-it notes with the forms on them.
We take that for granted in places like the United States, in Canada, in Europe. There's a real sense that entrepreneurship is economic. But as you go and apply it in places like Africa, or in Southeast Asia, or in South America, you begin to see a different, sort of a different approach, a different respect for entrepreneurship.
We were just so happy with how the in-person donations were going that we decided to expand this and take it beyond campus. We created a website in a little under 24 hours to inform people about microlending. There's a PDF flyer you can download. And then the important part is there's a donate form. You just type in your information, donate right on the website, and there's a donor list where you can see the names of everyone who's donated. And we've gone ahead and inputted everyone who donated in person as well.
Our focus was in 3 major areas: in education, social value, and economic value. And we were trying that in the various aspects of the project. The Post-its enabled us to get out to people and to talk with them about what we were doing and about microlending. Most of the people that we spoke to didn't know what microlending was, and we were able to tell them how it worked, talk to them about the Grameen Bank and the whole process of microlending. The social value that we created was these Post-its right here. They represent the commitment and the compassion from students across campus who care about microlending now and who want to help out and want to contribute to microlending. And the third thing that we're most proud to announce is the economic value that we've created. So in just 3 days of fundraising, we've had over 300 donors contribute to our project. And our grand total was over $3,300 contributed. So we were obviously very, very happy about this. This was a huge success for us.
Okay, recap. 6 days, thousands of students around the world, creating value from Post-its. They lifted spirits, opened minds, raised awareness, promoted good health, generated money for charity, educated young children, made music, political statements, and comedy. They even fed the hungry hamburgers and fries. In my opinion, all winners. And they learned some really valuable lessons along the way.
The thing that people who participated learned is that opportunities are everywhere.
It was very much like a real startup experience.
They walked out completely changed by going out there and doing this.
You have an opportunity and you kind of grab it, and then it's a lot of risk and you don't know if it's going to work out.
The thing that points to is that people are waiting for permission to be creative.
It was awesome.
One of the main learnings or lessons I see is that it's for young people and for students of every age, in fact, to see that innovation lies within them.
You know, why is something like this important? It's important to be exposed to things early in your career so that you learn the patterns, you learn what it's like and what it's not like, what failure looks like, what success looks like.
Your ability to change and shape young people around the world, I think, can be done through media like this. So this is a great opportunity to explore it with them.
These opportunities that we create for individuals to come together and exercise their minds and creativities in such productive ways, I think there's a lot of value there. And the sponsors who put this together, I think it's doing us and all these people and students on the world a great service.
It's telling kids that, hey, you know, you can take your ideas and turn them into reality. You know, but the first step to that process is you have to turn on your imagination, look out in the world and say, hey, where are the opportunities?
Imagine what the world would be like if we had people who were able to work in this way and where they were supported in their curiosity, in their collaborations, in their imagination.
Imagine it.
Go to the problem and imagine a world where that problem has been removed, and then say, well, how many steps are there from this world to that world?
Imagine it! If you can get there in your mind, then we can make it happen in the real world. But you have to start.
Imagine it!
Imagining a new future, a new path, a new direction.
Imagine it!
You have the power to imagine it, you have the power to change the world.
Imagine it!
To imagine a more perfect world than the one we live in, and then to actually engage in making that happen.
Imagine it!
Imagine it! Imagine it!
Imagine it. Next year, more schools, more students, and an entirely different object to play with. Until then,